welcome to the first Insight webinar hosted by Station House. My name is Stefan Buerta, and I'll be facilitating a very relaxed and informal discussion tonight about a mixed-use development that we believe is not only going to be iconic for the Atlantic Seaboard, but the country as a whole. And the real objective about this short discussion is that whether you're an existing purchaser who's purchased since we released on the 6th of March, or you're someone who's heard about the product for the first time, to get unique insights about the development from the team who put it together. It's a combination between the development team, the town planning team, and the architectural team, and really to walk away with insights that you probably wouldn't be able to get in a normal engagement. So just a bit of context. The development Station House was launched on the 6th of March, which is just under 3 weeks ago. To date, close to 240 million in sales have been achieved, which is a very, very remarkable achievement in any market. And construction is significantly underway. And what we'll be doing to the discussion is updating on all these different elements and giving you a bit of context into how everyone got here and how the journey was formed. We're going to chat for no longer than 60 minutes. We are going to be recording this in case you want to send it on or share it with people who can't be part of this, and releasing it across social media and other platforms. And we really encourage you to ask any questions you have. We're going to try and facilitate those questions, try and get through as many as we possibly can, and pass them on to different development teams. So feel free to ask anything that you need to know about the project. And I think just to introduce the panel, I'm going to start with Saul Berman, who's the director of Berman Brothers Group. How's Saul?
Hello, Stefan.
Robin Maggot, who is the CEO of DTE Properties.
Steph.
Robin. Paul Berman, who's the CEO of Berman Brothers Group.
Stefan.
And Marika Abrahams, the project director of Berman Brothers Group. Marika. Aidan Hart, who's the creative director of In-House Design Studio.
Hi, everybody.
Who's definitely in the best position right now, overlooking the Atlantic Seaboard. And then Paolo Biotti, who's the design director of Vivid Architects. So how's it, Paolo?
Hi all. Hi there.
Okay, so I'm going to start with you. Like we said, it does look like you're parachuting somewhere, but I think the big thing for you has always been the team, and it's been about the vision. I know from the word go, you chatted to the team behind it and said, give me a reason why not to leave this building. So maybe just a bit of insight for you in terms of the vision behind Station House.
The vision behind Station House was it's a COVID born. It was Robin and myself looking at the development and seeing what we can create that hasn't been created before. How can we create a facility that is a home in any situation and in any lockdown, where the building has everything that you don't need to leave the building. So while we were locked down, we actually created something that has never been created before, which is a facility where everybody can work, play, sleep, and actually live in a community environment. Also, we've created probably the first ever rooftop bar, restaurant, swimming pool in the heart of the Atlantic Seaboard, and to create a facility where people can live, can rent, can live in a hotel type of environment, very secure. We basically off the grid from a power supply point of view, from a water point of view. Security is our key objective, one entry, one exit. And it offers an array of different kinds of livings, from a place where my kids will live or someone's parents will live. So it was Robin and myself during COVID, and Robin gave me 2 quotes: sleep small, live large for the studio units, and give me one reason why anybody needs to leave the building. And I think what we have created that. No one needs to leave the building. The building's got every facility, from a pick and pay to a deli, restaurant, coffee shop, coffee bar, concierge, cold, medium, hot lockers for deliveries. The building's completely app-based, very secure, high-speed lifts. And what we've created is something that has not been created on the Atlantic seaboard, as far as I'm concerned, on the African continent.
Thanks, Saul. So now I'm going to bring in the architectural team in a bit to talk about how the divisions come to life. Paul, I should bring you in. So I think it's hard to live in Cape Town and not know about the Berman Brothers Group, just in terms of how much you guys have done around the Atlantic seaboard. Maybe just a bit of insight as to why that is the area that you focused so much of your development around.
Well, firstly, I need to acknowledge my brother who founded the company in 1989, and we celebrate 27 years this year. We grew up in Sea Point, and there was always a disconnect between the high street of Sea Point and the multi-million rand properties on the hill. And there was almost an arbitrage opportunity in that there was such decay on the main roads, particularly when the waterfront was opened and sucked out all the retailers, that it was ripe for significant capital investment. And, you know, we had the foresight to see this, and we started investing and rejuvenating Sea Point, coupled with the fact that this is where we grew up. Insofar as Station House is concerned, there's quite an emotional connection for us, because on one of the properties that existed there before we bought all the surrounding properties and consolidated was a building by the name of Monrive, where Saul and I spent a large number of years growing up there. And it's quite interesting that a lot of our developments kind of tie back to our youth, where we grew up. And over the years, we've acquired subconsciously properties and buildings where we had a connection. And so we've got an emotional investment on the Atlantic seaboard. Plus, we believe that, I mean, the Atlantic seaboard is what I term, or what we term, the south of France of Africa. It's in such high demand. The vista, the proximity, the view, the weather is just, it ticks all the boxes. It's absolutely unbelievable. And this particular development, you know, after the consolidation of all the properties, I think it translates to, Marika will correct me, just over 3,000 square meters in extent. I don't know what the bulk is, over 10,000 square meters. But it's very significant in that in 1862, just opposite Station House, is where the first tramway was inaugurated, which connected Sea Point to Camps Bay. So there's a lot of history in this area. And then I need to acknowledge Robin and Saul, who had the foresight to design all the ingredients, or to list all the ingredients. And then we have what I term the brains trust. We have Vivid Architects, led by Paula, and we have in-house led by Aidan, who interpreted the vision and came up with this absolutely spectacular, iconic design and building, which I believe is going to have a significant impact on Sea Point, similar to what we did with the Point, with our partners at the time, with our partners HCI. It's certainly going to lift, you know, they say a rising tide lifts all boats. It's certainly going to lift the surrounding areas. And I believe it's got all the ingredients that's going to be absolutely cutting edge and attract the millennials. There's a whole blend of people that's been attracted to this building. And that Sky Bar is going to be truly world class.
Robin, I mean, you've got a significant property background, having been CEO of Investec Properties and various other entities along the way. What's the driving factor behind your partnership with Station House, being Joburg based and NC?
Yeah, thanks, Steph. Well, firstly, you know, through my days at Investec Property, I've known Saul and Paul for the better part of 20 years. We did do a couple of joint ventures in the early days. And yeah, as some of the guys have alluded to, I mean, you know, when you look at it from a puristic property point of view, which fundamentally I'm driven by, Sea Point, Fresno, the whole Atlantic seaboard, certainly from a property point of view, we know is going to stay the test of time. And that whether it's local, whether it's a university, whether it's foreigners or tourists, we know that Cape Town and specifically the Atlantic seaboard is the place people want to be. So I guess all the ingredients were there. It was a relationship with two guys that I'd known for many years and come to respect and trust. And then when they presented the opportunity of getting involved in the station house site, I think, you know, all the boxes were ticked. Fundamentally, I loved the property, I loved the location. I loved what I thought we could bring to the market and what we are going to bring to the market. And I was, you know, doing it with friends, which for me is, you know, make money, have fun. So I think from all those aspects, the deal made sense.
And then Robin, I mean, from a target market perspective, you got different components. You got to have your investor market. You understand the capital appreciation that comes with the area. And then the exciting part of the younger market, your 25 to 35 market, your millennial market that Paul spoke about, who just love the idea of facilities at a whole different level and their entry path into the market. What do you think the big factors there are from an investment perspective, and what should that market know?
Well, you know, it's interesting, and you use the word millennials. I think the first and foremost thing is, you know, I was never brought up, and I had some wonderful mentors over my years, over the last 25 years. And, you know, the concept of property being a short-term play was never on the agenda. And that's why, you know, we go back to the old philosophy of location, location, location. So I think first and foremost, you know, guys looking for a quick fix return, I don't know, I guess station house is not for them. Guys who want to invest in the long term, in the future, in a product and a property that is going to be admired for many years to come, because I think it is very futuristic in terms of what it offers. And there's certainly not a comparative product on the Atlantic seaboard. So I think for those people who are looking for conservative, well-located property returns, station house is certainly a good place to invest your money. If you're looking to make 20 or 25% return in 1 year, well, you know, we can't offer that and don't want to offer that. So we're looking for a product that stays the test of time, that stays in vogue, that stays within fashion. And I think the fact that this is a new building with so many new facilities, not to put down any other product, but, you know, this product is not going to have to upgrade itself in terms of facilities, which many other buildings in Cape Town are quite tired and old, which were constructed in the 50s and 60s. And to provide the millennials and the new investor with the wants and needs of the working space, the social space, the leisure space, you really need to provide a building that encompasses all of that.
Eden, sort of bring you in here. I just hope you don't spend the rest of the session talking, but
I'll try and keep it to a minimum.
But I mean, all of us in this panel know that you do work for some of the leading brands around the world, and pre-COVID was traveling most of your time. But how much of what's gone into facilities have been inspired by international trends?
I think the brief from Saul and Robin at the beginning, which was this sleep small, live large, driven off international trends with regards to desirable property, obviously being placed in the center points of really nodal kind of locations, creates this kind of need to develop both micro units and also larger units. And when we take a look at the mix in the station house, the range of apartment sizes, we really have created something that's quite unique. It's not a block of micro apartments or a plan where you've got sort of 2-3 bedroom units. It's a truly kind of unique combination of all of the above. And I think that's going to create this absolutely amazing space. We've worked closely with Paolo and Vivid Architects in creating what I would consider common residential areas that offset the apartment living. I still can't get over the beautiful large balconies that each apartment has, which is exceptional even by any measure. But in this area, to have the luxury of balconies the size that we've got, I am sort of really excited to see this come to fruition.
And Paolo, I mean, from the balcony perspective, I mean, a really good point from Aidan there. I guess it's hard for any marketing material to really do justice to the sizes that have been created.
The balcony spaces, yes. I think it's one of those design elements that has been an integral part of our design concept right from the start. The idea of having a balcony that one can live internally and outside, especially in Cape Town, which we all cherish, that ability to live outside, and then to be able to naturally ventilate your spaces nicely, to be able to sit outside and animate the building as well. You know, people will be using those balconies at different stages and times during the days. It will give you passive cooling to your actual unit because you've got lovely sun shading, and also an opportunity for you to have lovely pot plants and plant into your individual balcony units. So I think there's a lot of advantages to having this as an exceptional, unique selling point to the station house scheme.
Okay. And Rick, I'm going to bring you in a second, but Paula, I'm actually just going to share a document that you sent through earlier, just to pull it up on the screen if everyone can see it. Maybe, Aidan, if you want to come in, or any of the development team, but maybe just to talk through what went into creating this pretty iconic building.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I think the concept and narrative behind Station House was largely based on the site, its location, and the client's brief of a mixed-use building. As Paul alluded to earlier, it sits on a very rich and historical site, being opposite the first station that was the tram link from Sea Point to Camps Bay, as you mentioned. It's also a very significant intersection in Sea Point, where Main Road connects with Regent Road and to Kloof Road at the split. And it's really, in our minds, it was a place of convergence and community. And we wanted that to really resound in the building concept and narrative, and take that theme through the building right from the start. And I think Paul mentioned it as well. You know, Sea Point is an incredible place, and it's really had a renaissance. And it's probably one of the last remaining functional, safe and secure high streets left in Cape Town. And it's just wonderful to see the rich mix of restaurants and retail offerings that literally open out their doors to seamlessly invite the pedestrian user in and out of their spaces. And I think we'd like to take that design philosophy into Station House as well. And I think we've very successfully done that at the base and the ground floor of the building. The ground floor of the building is effectively Station House's own forecourt and it's forecourt and concourse effectively. It's a place to congregate, it's a place to socialize, it's a place to meet. On the one side, it's anchored on the bottom left-hand side with a small pick and pay convenience retail offering, and on the right-hand side, a lovely bar and deli restaurant that serves the ground floor. And then our entrance is situated between the two. I think we were very fortunate with this particular site that there was a little pop out, and that's where you see on the right hand side at the bottom a beautiful concession area that the restaurant and bar deli will occupy. It's a semi-indoor outdoor space where we really want to encourage the user and the passerby to pop in, have a cup of coffee, meet for a business lunch, have an early dinner. It's a space that really activates that corner of Kloof Road and becomes a focal point to that intersection. And really it is your first sense of arrival to the scheme. So we're very excited about how the building interacts seamlessly with the pedestrian realm and the Fresnay neighborhood right next door to it. On entering the building, we envisage the foyer space as, call it the main arrivals hall of the station. It is celebrated by this magnificent 3-story atrium space that is enclosed with a very delicate steel industrial screen. It gives insights and visual connection to the atrium space that serves the residential and hotel units above. It's a private and secure space.
Hello, if I can jump in quickly here as well. I think this is one of the less celebrated aspects of this building that perhaps is not currently showcased and is almost going to be a little secret when the final residents take occupancy, is this vertical connection that drives all the way up through the middle of the building and connects from the 11th floor glass skylight all the way down in this atrium space to this fantastic, and I must say it's an exceptionally large reception space for residential development. You do not get this level of space allocation which the developers have put aside in essence, give you this feeling of hospitality level reception. Many hotels don't have the kind of scale that we're going to have in this building, and that's a testament to your planning and the building itself.
Absolutely agree, and I think really this is going to be your public orientation space of the building. It's going to be the happening and real hip and happening hub of the building with your reception. From here, you'll be orientated either to the ground floor restaurant bar or to the lifts that take you directly up to the rooftop bar at the top of the building. And certainly a little bit of elements of planting, focal walls, and a great interior designed and done by Aidan and his team as well. So yeah, it's going to be a fantastic space in the future.
Yeah, I think to all the kind of the people listening in here, there's two lift banks. There's a direct lift access bank which will take you up to the sky bar on the left hand side as you see it in this image, and then just further at the back on the left hand side next to the station house feature wall is the residence lift, and this goes back to what Saul was talking about with regards to security is utmost important. So we've separated public access to the roof from residents, and this is also again just something going the extra mile to create a unique development.
Paolo or Ada, just a quick question. So there's obviously a lot of greenery going up both on the interior and the exterior of the building, like we can see now going up the atrium. Was that vertical landscaping always part of the plan?
Right from the start, it was very much part of our concept, is to try and green the building as much as possible, certainly in the public areas, and also to encourage the individual residents on their balconies to do the same. And there's been a fair amount of good research around the world as how planting and landscaping can enhance and improve your well-being, not only of the user of the building, but also to its direct neighborhood. And I think if this building comes out like it does, with people getting involved with the landscaping, individuals, populating their balconies as their own little urban forests and green havens, this building will really give a lot back to its environment and its context in Sea Point. So we're very excited about that aspect as well.
Yeah, I think the importance of green living plants is paramount in any project. You'll notice that even in the furniture packs which have been put together, carefully selected, there is greenery as a kind of a pre-purchase option as well for those residents who are looking for almost a plug-and-play solution when it comes to moving in. Is the greenery will come with it. Paolo's got some exceptional vision with regards to the softening of the facade of this building, and in the working design sessions that we've done, these visualizations are starting to really bring it together. And unfortunately, even they don't show the true kind of depth of this of the possibility here. So we really look forward to the final product.
And then Aidan, so Marika is currently sitting in the rooftop bar and pool, and then you currently sitting in the residence pool area. How does one differentiate those two spaces?
So the rooftop bar, which Marika is sitting in, and offers exceptional through almost 360-degree views of the Atlantic seaboard from the side that she's in. Visually is looking out over Robben Island, and then what the image that you're showing at the moment, you can see the bar, which has a large terrace and its own pool. This pool would be accessible to both residents and restaurant guests, and is securely separated from the rest of the building. And then the residence pool is on top of the structure that you can see, where more or less just to the left of where your hand is at the moment, if you want to move it down to the left. There's a residence pool which sits on the very pinnacle of the building, and offering as exceptional as grand a views as these as the pool top. So they are separated from each other. The objective being that the residence pool is for residents only, and the sky bar pool will be for guests of the restaurant and also hotel or residents. What you can see at the back here, and again another area which is at the bottom of that building, is the residence private garden, the kinetic gym, and a small braai and lounge area, which is directly connected to the residence lounge. And that again is where we talk about these additional facilities that come with the sleep small, live large kind of design philosophy that's been followed through. This residence lounge has a food preparation area, some seating area where you can have larger tables gathered together, and entertainment space with pool tables and I think table tennis tables as well. So when you talk about the smaller apartments requiring other spaces to go and to be able to entertain, we've provided it all in the space.
Hayden, you forgot about the most important thing.
Yes.
Pet park. The pet park.
Oh, yes. The pet park down in the bottom right-hand corner is the pet park, and that's attached to the workout area, so you can have your pets run around and also do a kinetic gym workout at the same time.
Robin, I know you've had a huge amount of input into the space. Well, what excites you about this outside area the most? Just check that you're on mute there.
Yes, sorry. So what I was saying, so this all was born out of what Saul and yourself had mentioned earlier, which was, give me a reason to leave the building. So obviously, there's certain things we can't do, but what we love, and as a Joburg guy, what I love is the promenade. I love seeing the guys working on the kinetic gym. I love seeing the people walk early mornings with their pets. And obviously the braai area, which is so important in a South African culture and context. So I think what drove this is continually evolving that theme of give me a reason to leave the building. So we know there are many people who hold their pets dear to them, and obviously within a certain size, we welcome that. The open kinetic gym and the braai area. So it was our promenade, with a few added benefits of the braai area, where you could bring your own food, bring friends, and essentially we are providing the space in the room for him to enjoy a real South African life with staying within the security of our building.
Marika, quite a journey to get here.
Yes, very much so. So I would say, first and foremost, I'm very fortunate to see this project through from inception to the construction phase, from the consolidation of at least 4 properties into one, to unlocking 10,600 square meter art bulk. I believe Seaboard has an unbelievable fabric in terms of its grid and mixed use and just the nature of the density and the activity of the neighborhood. So we all believe in the neighborhood. We believe that Station House is on a very significant site. I don't know if you can share just a few images that I shared with you earlier.
Yeah, Ashka, I want to say this.
Steph, while you're looking for that, I think a very important factor which we mustn't miss here, as I've said previously, this has been born by COVID. And give me one reason to leave the building. As South Africans, we haven't been able to leave our own properties. If a lockdown happens, and many lockdowns are going to happen, the viruses are going to mutate. This is a building that you actually want to be locked down in, because we've brought into the building basically everything that's been taken away from us, where you have everything in the building and there's no reason for you to leave the building. So, which is a very important factor as a South African, or especially the foreigners who are finding this product extremely attractive, because a product like this, as far as we're concerned, does not exist. So we've created a product because certain natural things have been taken away from us, where you can't walk outside, or you can't go to the gym, or you can't go to Delhi, or you can't go to a rooftop pool. Yeah, as a resident of the building, you actually want to be locked down. You actually want to be shut down because you want to stay in the building and enjoy all the facilities.
Rika, you want to go through these slides quickly?
Yeah, so just to locate where the site is, it's where the main road forks into Regent Road and Kloof Road. As you can see, our site is there indicated in yellow. So our site is, like Paul said, 3,000 odd square meters big. And we've got roughly 231 units on the site. And just to give you some context, we've shared from our context the being opposite the fire station, which is significant to our site's fabric, as well as the tram station in one of the next slides that used to run all the way to Kloof Street. So we're just sharing where the site is and that it's always been on a very significant point in the Seapoint landscape, we believe. So you can just flip one more. You can see our site is located to the left of this view. You can see the old tram lines running through, and even horse and cart traders on this road. So it really is a special site in this context. You can flip one more. Yeah, just to reiterate that it's on a really well located piece of land. It's on at least 4 or 5 different BRT routes. But we've also made parking an integral part of this development, where there's 1 bay per unit allocated. So we've got 293 parking bays that is allocated to this development, secure undercover parking. And I think that's also unheard of in this context, and it just makes you feel secure knowing that if you send your child to university, they can park securely, they have a vehicle, and yeah. Cool.
Erika, I think maybe, yeah, just to add to that and continue, maybe you can give some context to the listeners about the Pick n Pay. Yeah,
so in this image, it actually shows clearly the zoning of the site, which is general business towards Kloof Road in the front, and it's general residential towards the back. So we've had the opportunity to include mixed use in the ground floor. And like Paolo said, our ground floor interface with the street is always very important to us. So on the corner, I don't know if, Steph, can you just cursor over where the Pick n Pay is? So that's Irvington and Kloof. So on that corner, we're housing a bespoke Pick n Pay supermarket that's just adding to the convenience of living in this development. And on the other end, Paolo spoke about the beautiful deli, cafe, restaurant, and concession area that faces onto the street. So we've always found it very important to make the site defensible in terms of facing onto the street and just having passive energy in and out the building, and just making it secure on that front as well, and making you feel like you in Europe but you in Cape Town, So we found that to be central to our concept for this building.
And America, it's pretty unusual for a development to launch and be under construction at the same time. What's the timeline there?
Yeah, so if you flip to the next slide, it just shows us where we are on site currently. So we've done all the excavation, lateral support, and we are currently constructing the ground floor slab. As you can see, that's where the Pick n Pay will be housed. So we're very far advanced. We've constructed the parking area as a whole. So we're well underway with construction, and we expect to be, if all goes well, we expect to be completed by next year, November. So that's our construction timelines on this.
Okay, and then I think I mean, I think Paolo, you've always spoken about X factor. Where's the X factor for you?
Well, I think it's been mentioned a few times already, but it's got to be the pool deck rooftop bar. I think as architects, we very seldom get given this privilege to design something at the top of a building. It's normally the most valuable and expensive real estate, so often not given to a commercial use. But fortunately, our client said, guys, this is a non-negotiable. This is the X factor. This is the signature space and place of Station House. So we were very lucky to get that opportunity. How we've tried to design it is really as a very simple glass box structure that really blurs the lines from inside and outside. So you can seamlessly basically live and eat and dine in a space that is very seamless between inside and outside. And as Aidan earlier mentioned, it captures the enormous amount of view that is literally 360 from Lions Head, Table Bay, back to Signal Hill on the other side, and Robben Island in the background. So it's really an absolutely unique space, and it's no doubt going to be probably the most premier sunset cocktail bar in the future for Cape Town. And we all look forward, I think, to having our celebratory cocktail when this job is finished, right at that pool deck. We look forward.
I think,
yeah, sorry.
So I think if I could add to that is the X factor for me is just the seamless integration between the public and private space within the building, and right from the street interface, which Paulo and his team have put together, the flow through the concierge security area to a deli, just that exceptional deli that you're sitting in, Stefan. And then as you move up through the building, having different layers of privacy added to it to allow residents to feel like they were integrated into the city. It's not in no building that I've seen developed in South Africa have I seen this kind of integration between public and private space that doesn't have a small lobby with a little security door accessing the apartments. This is really just something exceptional. You would expect to find it in a 5-star hotel.
100%, yeah.
And then Aidan, could you just chat on the different unit types?
So the units, as I mentioned at the very beginning, the unit types range from, and I wouldn't use the word micro apartments because they're not in that kind of super small range. They're very comfortable one living environment space apartments, which are desirable all over the world at the moment. They answer the need for first-time buyers and investors with regards to having somewhere to lock up and go. They're very much on the kind of the wavelength of people who want no more than they need, and they can live in those kind of well-designed, detailed spaces, pack up and go away if they need to. Right the way up to the larger units that have these exceptional extended balconies that wrap around the corners, offering views right the way around the building. I think the one advantage to the front of the building is the fact that the station, the fire station across the road, is a protected building, and there can be no building built up in front of you on that face. The exposure, and that gives you this huge gap between the opposite side of the street and the station house building. Each unit has been considered. I would say that every square centimeter has been designed. We've thrashed over many hours of design work between Paulo and our team and the client, who working with Paul and Saul has been something that I've done for a while, and with Robben, who has an exceptional eye for detail. Obviously, they bring a lot of depth to the project. So yeah, we've got these amazing spaces, and which you can see little vignettes of them in the platform sales space, which is located in the BBG, one of the BBG developments, The Point, and I think it's worth popping in to take a look at them.
And you just want to talk about the pods as well?
Yeah, so again, just something that is going to be a surprise, I think, to a lot of the purchasers are these vertical living spaces that we've created from internal gym. So not only is there a kinetic gym, we all know it rains occasionally in Cape Town. So we've got an internal gym which is linked by a staircase to a yoga studio space, which has its own workout bar type environment. And then we've got me workspaces. So there's private little working pods that you can book, where you can do online meetings, pretty much like we're doing at the moment with all our international projects. And there's also business lounge environments and bookable kind of co-working spaces. And these are stacked up in the middle of the building in what would be attached to that wonderful atrium space that Paulo showed a visual on earlier, with lots of natural light into each of them, and they're securely accessed from the lift lobbies.
Stefan, I just want to make one point, which I think is quite important. I mean, we've only launched for 2 weeks, and over the 2 weeks, I think you've mentioned what we've sold, and it's been quite overwhelming, the comments from purchasers who've bought and those who've come to see and try and understand the development. But the building is so large, and Paulo and Aidan spoke about the integration between private and public. But what's very important is that you can be absolutely private in your own private space, in your own private apartment, and then it's up to you if you want to socialize in any of the facilities within the building. But it is a private home in a community development, and it's up to you. You can be absolutely private once again. And if you want to go to the rooftop or the sky bar, you want to go to the deli, you want to go shopping, you want to go to a pod, you want to go to gym, a yoga studio, whatever you want to do, it's there. There's a menu of opportunities, but you still have your own private sectional title space. And of course, there's, Robin, I don't know if you want to talk about the hotel, the apart hotel component, which is the 32 units, which is a wonderful investment opportunity for an investor who wants a good return.
Robin, if you just want to add on that, just talk about that apart hotel. Sorry, Robin, you're on mute.
Yeah. So as Paul said, there are 32 hotel rooms placed on the 4th and 5th floors. So we really try to bring some decent views into those rooms. They have been designed in the spirit of the building and the culture we wanted to bring into the building. I think it would be a little bit unfair for me to go into too much detail because it is part of our investment launch, which is the 3rd phase of our launch, which is coming in the next 2 weeks. So probably not at liberty just to discuss the full details of that. But yeah, we see it as a very exciting investment into, and just to give you some basic ideas, the individual who wishes to purchase a hotel room will have the ability to throw the hotel room into the pool. We think it's done at very competitive rates in terms of our occupancy and the room rate we can achieve at night. And then we are also offering the purchaser the ability to have 21 days in this hotel room, which is effectively be free of charge. Obviously, we can't offer that during peak times, which is your Christmas and Easter period. But yeah, very exciting product. We think the fact that it's only 32 rooms, that it's going to have huge levels of occupancy. And over years, the investor is going to see a steady and very good increase in terms of the room rates we are able to achieve. I think bringing a hotel into a product like this offers further diversity. I think in terms of the Europeans and locals that will be experiencing this hotel, I think although only a short window, they will want to stay there because of the community that I think Station House is going to create. But I also think Station House is going to have its own identity, whether it's organizing its own jazz evening or food evening or whatever. So I think this hotel will be able to be part of the community, but it was very important for us to have a private residence pool, a private entertainment area, because residents, for want of a better word, will enjoy their own exclusivity. So I think the hotel and the occupants of the hotel have used to 90% of the facilities. And what more central, secure place could somebody coming to stay over the holidays and even off-peak periods want to be?
And then Saul, just to bring you in here, in terms of purchasing options, how would you categorize the different options that are available to a purchaser?
Well, what is very important is the price of the units. We believe that for the first time in 7 to 8 years, can a purchaser purchase something today, and in 18 months' time will be able to, as far as we're concerned, make a return on their investment. You know, the days of putting down your 10% and selling before transfer, which cannot be done anymore, are over. But the opportunity of what we've created, as there were originally 233 units. There's now, I think, 225, because a lot of people have bought 2 units and put them together. So because we have so many different opportunities, I think we have 14 to 15 different kind of layouts and sizes due to the size and configuration of the building. It gives people opportunity to actually make bigger units by joining units. The pricing, as far as we're concerned, is very well priced. We've priced it in the current market conditions, which is very low. And we believe that the upside for investors, and especially for people who want to buy and rent it out, it will give you a much better return than any other developments around, because we have the facilities. We've spent approximately between 50 to 70 million rand in actual facilities, which no other building can compete with us.
Yeah, Stefan, can I just add to what Saul said, which is quite critical. You know, when you're purchasing and you're just looking at clinically at a rate per square meter, it's very difficult, because one has to take into account the significant facilities that you are acquiring together with your purchase, which is, I think it's unparalleled. I don't think there's any development out there with those kind of facilities. As Saul mentioned, 50 to 70 million just on facilities must enhance the rate per square meter. So one can't just look at the rate per square meter. The other thing is, which I find, which is very attractive, is interest rates have never been where they are for many years, which gives significant impetus to first-time buyers. Because if you look at the entry-level apartments, effectively what you're currently paying in rental, by putting down a 10% deposit, you could effectively pay off a bond, which is very attractive in the current market. But as Saul said, there are a number of permutations. I think there's about 17 different permutations and options. And so it caters for every type of purchaser, from entry to the mature, to those who wish larger apartments to consolidate, to the penthouses. Unfortunately, I think all of those have gone by now. So each and every apartment is extremely attractive in its own right.
Steph, I think what's important to point out, and my fellow shareholders might get a little bit irritated with me for saying this, but I'm going to say it nonetheless. When we looked at the pricing, you know, we work quite closely with our financiers who are Investec Private Bank. And, you know, Paul spoke about affordable interest rates. And, you know, the banks were kind of telling us that a young guy who's earning roughly 500 grand would qualify for a bond of, let's say, 1.5 million, which would be 3 times his gross revenue. And we had a lot of debate about, well, should we start this price at somewhere around some of our competitors, which is 1.2, 1.3, or what the banks are telling us. And, you know, we did come in a little bit higher in terms of the entry rate, not so much the rate per square meter, because Station House is a little bit aspirational. And this is a product that is providing a superior level of living. And we don't hide behind that fact that it is. You can't simply compare this to a normal building without facilities and security and the application and say, well, you know, the other buildings have an entry price of 1.2 or 1.3 million. You know, Station House is going to stand the test of time, and it is a little bit of aspirational level. And I think our entry level is a little bit higher, and we're proud of that and own that.
Absolutely. And I think maybe just to talk to your point, all of your points actually, is recently there have been some investment docs that have been done in terms of projecting cash flow forecasts for people who are investing and renting long term. That's just taking the apartheid out the equation. I think a couple of factors, and like Paul said, interest rates being low at 7%, you take into account the rentals that are currently being achieved in the area and being quite modest about those, and then escalating that by 8%, which is the norm for the area. a typical example was a studio where it becomes cash flow positive after year 4, based on escalation of rentals and based on low interest rates. And I think that speaks to exactly what you guys are saying. It's not a price per square thing, it's about value, and it's about long-term investment into what created within a very, very aspirational area. And I think that is such an incredible thing that's been created.
Yeah, and dealing with the Burmans who have had a long-term stay in Sea Point and D2E, this is our first foray. But, this was, we are not first-time developers in terms of, this is, the Burmans have been at this for 30 years. I've been at this for a long time. We build and provide premier products, and all the professionals, both from the contract to engineers to architects, are the premier in their game. And we need to live by our product, because we don't build once-off buildings. So people are paying, but they are getting quality for their product.
Paul, one last question before we start to wrap up. I think for the typical buyer who's investing and maybe not understanding off plan, what's the general process a guy will follow from reserving a unit now through to transfer?
So we launched it, Stefan, 2 weeks ago, and there was a reservation fee paid up until the launch. So now we're in the market. So the reservation fee has now fallen away. It's effectively, I mean, we've had quite a lot of foreign interest, believe it or not, both in the hotel and in the sectional title units. We have converted the entire top floor of our offices into station house, effectively. So you can almost walk into station house. We've built a micro apartment in our boardroom with all the specifications. You can come and it's very interactive. You can go into the development, see the apartment, actually see exactly where it sits in the building and the view. And we have agents here every day, 7 days a week, that will take you through the building and answer any question. And my team, and headed by Marika here, is here to answer any question. But we live, and we excited and enthusiastic, and we believe that this is the finest product on the market at this point in time on the Atlantic seaboard, in the finest piece of real estate in the world. And for those who are in the market looking to purchase an apartment, this is where you've got to be.
Thanks, Paul.
Stefan, just to elaborate on what Paul said, this is the first time in the history of the Atlantic seaboard, Cape Town, Cape Agulhas, that you have a development of 865 million ever been built. And I don't think there ever will be something built of this kind of magnitude, because there is not going to be land available of this kind of size that's been consolidated with a vision that everybody has created around this webinar. So Paul's absolutely right. What we've created is something that will never be created again. And I think it's going to sell out pretty fast. And I think the ones who don't buy are going to be the ones in a few months' time they're going to regret, because no matter how much money you have, you won't be able to buy one, and there won't be one available. And people need to take into account all the facilities and actually go online or come to our offices and actually see what we're actually creating.
Absolutely. And I think just to mention that tool that Paul and Saul spoke about, our team will be sharing it on the chat, but stationrseapoint.co.za/shop is where you can go and view all the different floors, the views from the different units, see what's available, see what the prices are, look at the renders, the unit plans, and even to the point where you have the ability to be able to purchase online. I think it's all been integrated into one platform, and that's obviously also available to be seen at the sales platform in the BBG office. Now, I think from my side, just to honestly take my hat off to every single one of the team who've been involved. It really is something that is incredibly iconic. We see developments around the country, and this really has set a new benchmark for vision, for bringing in trends, and really creating an environment that will be unsurpassed in terms of what it offers. And I think we just touched the tip of the iceberg in terms of what that deli will be like once it's complete, what that rooftop a bar will be, and I think that will be sort of the course and the sequence of doing more of these as we go along, as construction commences and as a vision emerges, and obviously as we get to a point where we're getting close to sellout, just to be able to document the journey as we go.
Steph,
So I just wanted,
sorry, one just quick last point. You asked me the question and I got sidetracked. Just to talk about the invert, that the sectional title owners will have the ability to enjoy the hotel experience. So the operator will be there through the app-based functionality. So should you require your room to be cleaned, should you require dry cleaning, should you want to rent a car, all the facilities of a hotel offering will be offered to the sectional title owners as well.
and then Aidan, I know you touched on the furniture packs. We're not going to go into the detail now, but that is obviously something where 2 packages have been done for someone going to the part hotel or not. And those are all included on the shop that I referred to earlier.
Yes, and we've obviously styled 2 different furniture packs. I won't go into it at this one. Maybe in the next webinar we can discuss in more detail. There's also the opportunity for a sort of an instant living pack where you just add person, where we add crockery and cutlery and set everyone up.
Stefan, I just want to end on a high. You know, my brother mentioned lockdown, and you know, the disruption and dislocation that has been caused by this pandemic has manifested itself in different ways. But we, as D2E and Vermin Brand, BVG, and the whole professional team, we are unbelievably positive about Cape Town, the Atlantic Seaboard, and South Africa. And that's why we invested such a large amount of capital into the strategic site. So, you know, there is that doom and gloom from some people out there, you know, where, you know, in terms of the pandemic, in terms of where we are, South Africa, we are unbelievably positive and optimistic. As my brother says, we always swim upstream. Well, here's an example of what swimming upstream looks like. And we look forward to raising a toast at the end of November next year, Marika, on that sky, on the top of that sky bar, where I think Aidan's going to be entrenched with his team in toasting the completion of this iconic building. I really want to thank and acknowledge Paolo and Aidan and his team for the design and input and all that you've done and the long hours. And so thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And thanks to all of you who've joined us this evening. We are going to be doing a recording of this, which will be circulating to everyone if you want to forward it on, or someone who missed it. We'll also be including the link for that shop that we spoke about. And we're looking forward to inviting you to more of these as we go and following this very, very exciting journey. So thanks to the panelists. Your input's been exceptional, and hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you.
You wanted to ask me a question. You wanted to ask me a question. Why the team?
Absolutely.
Well, no one else was available. So during COVID, Robin and myself went online, and the only people who had Wi-Fi was Aidan and Paolo. So no, seriously, guys. I don't think, I know that we as developers and Marika, who's now become our boss, we really have got the best team. And what you've seen is you've seen 2 individuals representing a brand, a company, but wow, the team behind them has been incredible, exceptional. I've never worked with 2 different architects who don't compete with each other. They complement each other. And we are building a home, and the homes have got different facets to it. And to be able to engage with Paolo and Aidan, who draw things, sketch, and show you the vision and show you the story and interpret between Robin and myself what we've seen and visualizing, and then to actually come to an agreement of actually what we want has actually been the personal aspect of this building. And that's why it is like building a home, because it's like having a husband and wife who pull in south and north. We're creating a home. Every corner, every nook and cranny has been designed by all of us together and by input, and no one takes ownership. It's our creation. So to all of you guys, the whole team, thank you. I really salute you. And in nearly 32 years of business, I've never worked with such an incredible team.
Thanks, Saul.
Very much. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Stefan.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Good night.